begin my layout, I have the Ranger paper from the Starshine collection, as well as a column of 3" by 3" photos from a trip to London a few years ago. I really like the diagonal lines in the Ranger paper, but I only want them on the left side of my layout. So I've also pulled this matte print paper from the Starshine collection, and I'm going to place that on the right side. But since my layout is all about a trip to London, I want to make sure that I get the UK on there. Um, so I'm just going to measure how far in I need this paper to go so that my photos don't cover up the United Kingdom. And I'm just going to quickly trim that down. I can't say I've ever used this color combination before, this light kind of teal blue with dark red and kind of a brighter, more greeny teal, but I really, really like it, and I feel that it really fits in with my photos that also have quite a bit of red in them. So I'm going to use dimensional adhesive to pop up my photos, and as you can already start to see on this layout, the diagonal line has a lot of movement already that leads your eye from the left of the page down to the bottom right of the page. And by placing my photos right on that line, it kind of stops that movement. But I'm going to show you later about how I continue the movement down through my page to my journaling. So I've already gone through my stash and pulled out quite a few different embellishments. They're chipboard, they're stickers, they're die cuts. And I started out by going to the Starshine collection. Since my papers were there, I knew I could find similar colors. And then I went to the other Chamel collections, True Stories and the original Chamel collection, as well as my Ali Edwards Go story kit, which had quite a few things in it. I also pulled out a journaling tag. So when I create a layout, this is kind of what I do. I go through my stash and I just kind of pull the colors and themes that I'm already working with in my pattern paper. So I find that's a good place to start if you ever have that trouble. Just kind of start looking for things by color and the general theme that you are scrapbooking. So what I'm doing here is just placing all of my embellishments along that diagonal line. And if there are lines in the embellishments, I'm placing them on the diagonal as well so that everything follows the really strong diagonal movement that I have going here from the top left to the bottom right of my page. And I'm also doing another technique called color blocking. So I'm trying to place the lines of colors on the colored lines on the paper. So if I have a red arrow, I'm going to put it on a red stripe. I also pulled out a few embellishments here that would add some contrast, like the cork fab circle there, some gold accents as well, just to add a bit of that metallic shine just so that it broke up those colors a bit and wasn't so monotonous. I find that this is probably the longest part of my design process, is just placing embellishments. And on this layout, I have quite a few, a lot more than I would generally have on a layout, just because of the ultimate design of it. But I will move things around for ages, it seems, just until I get it completely right. And a lot of times I have to completely walk away from a layout, go to bed, wake up the next morning, and take a look at it again with fresh eyes, and I'll get a whole different idea. So right now you can see how all of my embellishments are kind of forcing this movement along the lines. I also have this transparent arrow, and I love the fact that everything else is kind of a similar size and this is really big. I also love the fact that I can connect the diagonal line through my photos by using this arrow. And I think that's really important to kind of bridge that gap so your eye doesn't completely just stop when it hits that vertical column of the photos. So I really, really love that. And this arrow is from my Ali Edwards Go Story Kit. So I have this space here that I could add my handwritten journaling, but I also pulled out this journaling card. And so right away when I put the journaling card over on the right, it kind of feels like it creates that balance between the heavy left and the right side, because you have that contrast of the really white journaling card over on the teal paper. It really helps that balance. It also, like I just showed you with my hands here, it also adds to that movement by, the arrow is pointing directly to the journaling. So there is going to be a place for your eye to rest, and that's going to be on your journaling. I also want to make sure that I do not cover up the UK there, so I'm going to keep that clear. I'm going back to my Go Story Kit to just see if there's anything else I missed. And I found this chipboard piece. So I'm going to go ahead and close that up because I just have a few kind of gaps here in my embellishment cluster. I'm pulling out the Pink Paisley Atlas collection because, again, it's about travel, but it also has some of the colors that I'm using in this layout. And I found another arrow, which is pretty perfect. It all adds to that feeling of movement. I'm also pulling out the ephemera pack, from the Atlas collection. And some of these are really perfect. That camera is the perfect match to the colors on the right side. That transparent arrow is pretty great too. This is definitely one of my favorite embellishment packs. I just love these. Kind of the mix of die cuts and transparent shapes. It's really cool. And that little red geotag I think is going to be really perfect for pointing out London on the map. So I'm just going to add this little camera in where I can find a space. So this is just me shifting things around over and over again just to get them in the configuration that I'm completely happy with. And with the transparent shapes, I'm going to attach them with my mini stapler. That other circular piece is just not going to fit in, so I'm not going to force it. So I think I have everything exactly the way I want it. I'm going to go ahead and adhere everything down at this point. And some of it I'm going to pop up with dimensional adhesive as well. Whenever I have a tag, I like to put a bit of baker's twine through it because it just adds a different kind of texture to my layout. Okay, just putting the finishing touches on it, adhering everything down. Luckily, the transparent arrow has enough of a border, like a gold border, on the edge that I could put thin strips of dimensional adhesive on there. So that's how I got that to stay without being able to see it and without using a stapler. So once I add my journaling and my date on here, I'm going to call this layout done. So to recap, I used this really strong diagonal line to create movement to my photos, and I further used embellishment like this big transparent arrow here to further move that movement through my photos to my journaling, where ultimately your eye is going to rest. Thanks so much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch my video. If you like what you see, please follow my feed and leave a comment. I'd love to know what you think. And if you have any questions about movement, please ask in there as well. Thanks so much for watching today. And as always, happy creating.